Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the new year. Happy New Year. Hello 2021. Glad that year is over and hopefully this year is better than last year. But one of the things that I want to focus on this year is getting back to consistently posting on my blog and on YouTube. So we are starting the year off with a post and a video all about dietary restrictions at Walt Disney World. So I'm going to be going through different sorts of allergies or dietary restrictions and everything that you need to know when you're going to visit Walt Disney World. So without further ado, let's get started. If I'm looking down, I'm looking down at my notes because this is a lot to remember. So I'll be talking about my experience because I have been a pescatarian for 14 years now, so I eat fish but I don't eat meat, and like majority of the trips that I've taken have been while I've been a pescatarian. I think the first one I was like 5, so I don't even remember that, but so I'll be talking about that at the end. So the first kind of dietary restriction is plant-based eating. So if you're either a vegetarian or a vegan, there is an entire guide to plant-based eating at Walt Disney World. So I'll have the blog post link below and it will have links to everything. But it breaks down like by park, by area, so like Disney Springs or like the boardwalk, and then it breaks down like by restaurant, like specifically without even having to go in to look at the menu, what options you have at like, I don't even know how to say it, like Oscar House in the Norway Pavilion. Like that would be first because it's alphabetical, but it tells you like exactly what you can have. So if you are plant-based, that is the thing that you want to check out. And then I believe there are also like paper guides that you could get at probably guest services in the park. You're gonna look for the leaf on the menu, so I'll put a picture here of a menu item with the little leaf, and that is what you're gonna focus on and signifies a plant-based item. And lastly, just one thing to look out for is I've seen it previously at like Food and Wine and Flower and Garden at Epcot, but the booths, they have outside of the booths they'll have a big menu, and if you see a green V, that V actually stands for vegetarian and not vegan. So if you are vegan, just watch out for that, and you could probably confirm if it is in fact completely plant-based or not, but you just don't want to get those confused. So if you're a vegetarian, you could look out for either, and if you're plant-based, you just want to look for the green leaf and not the V. So for allergies, most restaurants can accommodate allergies. The ones that it has specifically listed, I'm sure, are the most common ones. So milk, eggs, peanut, fish, shellfish, soy, gluten, tree nuts, and wheat. So generally you would be able to find an allergy-friendly menu or allergy guides at restaurants. That would be really easy. So at a quick service or a table service, you can say, I have an allergy, do you have a guide or anything like that? And I will also be talking about like what to do if you're going to quick service and what to do if you're going to a table service a little bit later. But yeah, they are very, very accommodating, and they make it really easy. If you have a different allergy other than the ones that I just listed, or you just really want to ask questions or anything, you can email special.diets@disneyworld.com, and I'll put that up here. You can email them once your reservation has been made for like a table service restaurant, or if you have other questions, but it says no more than 14 days in advance for a specific reservation. For kosher and halal, you can request meals at some quick service and table service restaurants 24 hours in advance, and there's a number to call. So the number is 407-824-1391 to request a meal. All of this information is from the Walt Disney World website too, so it is there if you have questions, but I will have it all in one place. So for kosher and halal at buffets, you may receive one meal instead of the option to have the buffet, but you would be paying the buffet price, and it's not going to be all you can eat, so you're paying a higher price for a specific plate. That plate will obviously be made for you, but I guess if that is something that you really want, you may not want to go to a buffet because you're going to be paying more for it. And then also, if you're getting a special meal, the wait time can be longer, and sometimes they can only substitute vegetarian meals for halal. So that's just something to know. But generally, I believe if you have that type of diet, that vegetarian would be an option. So you can look for the leaf or the V to know what's vegetarian and what's plant-based. Okay, so for quick service restaurants, most have allergy-friendly menus, or you can speak to a chef or a diet-trained cast member, but you can also look in the app to see if they have allergy-friendly menus. So I'll put a screenshot of what I took from the app, so you can scroll. So I think the quick service was the ABC commissary at Hollywood Studios, so I just quickly went to that and then just scrolled down, and they have a specific allergies, like an allergy friendly menu option. And then you can also, depending on the restaurant, if they have that availability, it actually sorts it by specific allergy, or it'll say in the item listing like it is free of peanuts, fish, blah, all that stuff. But they make it really, really easy, and you can use the app from home. You can check it on the Walt Disney World website. But if you're wandering around the park and you're like, oh, I don't know where I want to eat, let me check to see if this restaurant has, and you can see if they have allergy-friendly menus without even having to step foot in there. But then once you do get there, you could request, like, if you already have the menu, or you could ask for an allergy-friendly menu, or to speak to a cast member if you have any questions. And for table service, so when you're making a reservation, I will have a blog post all about this process, but when you're making a reservation, you can select that you have an allergy or a special dietary request, and then you would confirm that when you check in for your reservation. Generally, they'll have like the little receipt of your reservation information that they leave on the table for the server, and it will have like a red allergy stamp, and that means that a chef will visit your table to make sure that they get something for you and talk about your specific needs and allergies or dietary requests. But again, you can also check on the app or on the Walt Disney World menu to make sure that they have, like that you're making a reservation at some place that already has options, but generally most restaurants can accommodate that. And yeah, so in my experience, so as a pescatarian, I've never really I've never made a table service reservation and like signified that for me, because I eat fish as well, so I know that there's generally going to be an option. If not a fish option, there'll be a vegetarian option that I would be fine with. But I have also made a reservation signifying something, which I'll talk about in a second. Whew, it's been a little while since I've filmed a sit down video that I'm like out of breath, which is not great, but oh well. Okay. And lastly, my experiences. So I've had 2 experiences in all of my trips to Walt Disney World that like I can clearly think of, and funnily enough, they both take place in the Japanese pavilion at Epcot. So the first one was at the Tokyo Dining, which is the sushi restaurant that's in like the front half of it, that's like closer to World Showcase Lagoon, that like you can see out. And it was in 2011, and I was with my mom, and we were on the dining plan. So when you're on the dining plan, sometimes there are only specific options that you can choose from. And I wanted to order a bento box, but the bento box came with something that was meat, and so I asked if I could like substitute like vegetables for that or whatever, and I was told no substitutions. And then I asked, well, okay, can you just like not put that on the plate because I don't eat meat? And I was told no substitutions. So I don't know if it was like a language barrier thing or just they were very strict about that, but that's kind of the only negative experience I can think of. And so once the plate arrived with the meat on it, my mom just took that and gave me more vegetables or whatever it was. But yeah, it was really the only like negative experience. And then the other side of it was at Teppan Edo back in 2016. And there, I can't remember if like you write down your choices or how exactly it worked, but they asked like, is anybody a vegetarian or anything? And I said like, I'm a pescatarian. So the chef, because they prepare the food at your table, he made sure to prepare my stuff first before any meat touched the table, because they clean it off before they start. And so I just really appreciated that, and I'm not used to having that like level of service. I guess like maybe I'm not as worried about it, or like I don't like people, like I don't like inconveniencing people, so I probably don't like speak up about it as much as I probably should, but I really appreciated it. And then the other part of my experience is I wanted to talk about traveling with my sister on that same trip in 2016. So my sister has a disability, and at that point in time she was on a puree diet, so it meant that all of her food needed to be blended up into like a hummus consistency, just because she was having trouble chewing, and it just made it a lot easier for her to eat. So when I was making the reservations for that trip, for all of the table service reservations, I put that we had a special dietary request. I think there's also a box to check if you have a wheelchair, which she is in a wheelchair, so I checked that as well, so I guess they can manage spacing or whatever. And then I also mentioned that when we check in. But they were fantastic with accommodating her puree diet. So our first night, I think we were at the Crystal Palace in Magic Kingdom, and the chef came to the table and we were like, oh no, it's fine, because we didn't really like get it. But then by the next day, I think we were at Tusker House at Animal Kingdom, which was a buffet, and we were like, oh, like it's easier for her to eat with puree, and they were like, okay, what does she want? Like build a plate and I'll blend it. And at home, we've at least, like when we had called a restaurant to say like, oh, do you have a blender? Like they wouldn't accommodate that. They didn't want to like take on the liability of that, or they said like, we only have a blender for the bar or whatever. And so we had trouble at home, but at Disney World it was a completely different experience. Like every restaurant was so accommodating and made it really easy, gave my parents peace of mind, gave my sister peace of mind, because she could eat easier and she could eat whatever she wanted. But it was great. So that in a nutshell is dietary restrictions at Walt Disney World. If you have any specific questions, please let me know in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them. But yeah, so I've had a couple different experiences myself and then with someone in my party. But generally, if you have questions, a cast member, if they can't help you, they'll probably help you find someone who can help. And you can always email that number, email in advance if you have any specific questions. And yeah, they're just very accommodating, and it is one of the reasons that I love Disney so much. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative and to the point. And I will see you guys in my next video. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who might find this helpful, and subscribe for more, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks again for watching. Bye.